Hello, this is Ryan, and we're looking at CCNA. Specifically, we're going to look at the Packet Tracer Skills Final. It's a doozy, so I'm going to give you guys a review about how it's organized. So when you log on to NetAcad, you click on the course, you get to the home page. Home page got some videos in there to give you an overview of the different modules. And then the good stuff's in modules and assignments. So modules and assignments, same thing, but organized differently. We'll click on modules. So everything's sequential, and when we get down to the bottom, see the skills exams. There's a topic list in there. Of course, everything's open book and internet, so this is more just to get you guys oriented. Also, what's going to be really useful is the command summary, which you may or may not have been using. So if we click on that, download a copy of the command summary. And while you're doing the skills final, there's a command or series of commands that you didn't quite remember. Like, let's say we wanted to look up DHCP. Boom. There's DHCP snooping. Remember, with DHCP snooping, we had a trusted port that we could get DHCP messages from. And then all the other ones, they get slapped down if they try to imitate a DHCP server. So there's a lot of commands in here. So I guess this is more of a reference. So it's really not that long. And at the bottom here, it shows you some the basic the basic configurations. Yeah, there you go. This is for router RIP. This is for RIP, actually. Okay, anyways, that's an important reference for doing it. And the actual exercise. If we look at the packet tracer here on the right, and then there's the Word doc on the left. So the instructions are in Word doc form. This is in case you want to print out the instructions. Not a bad idea. But when you open up Packet Tracer, it automatically has the window with all the instructions in it. So how are these instructions organized? Well, it starts out with a summary right here of everything that you're going to be doing. And basically the stuff that you have to do on every switch is in there. So a good way to do that is to do the basic configuration in a text file and then copy and paste it multiple times. Then we get into the specifics of the different switches and routers. There's no IP address table in this. So there are, in the actual packet tracer interface, there's some IP addresses listed. And for instance, if you want to figure out like this thing right here, Phoenix switch 1 is the default gateway for all of these guys. But it's not addressed when you start out. So these guys are. So if you look at the desktop, the configuration already has a static default gateway. So unless you want to have to change the default gateway, for this case, this is LAN 102. For VLAN 102, you want that IP address on that guy. I should be nice and make you guys a table, but I don't know when I'll get around to that. Anyways, you should be able to make your own. And notice that their subnet masks are kind of crazy. They progressively increase the size of the network. Well, until you get to here and you're in the point-to-point network area. So if you see a /30, it's one of these router-to-router links. One of those. And yeah, you're going to have to do your own IP addressing scheme. DNS here, that's the DNS server. It's in this little cloud thing. Cisco.com is there too. And you will be able to ping these destinations when you're testing to see if your network works. It's important because, to see if the DNS and everything works, you want to use a domain name that can get resolved. So yeah, Cisco.com was set up for that. ISP is just a, it's there in case you want to ping it, I guess. Let's see. So this is split into two parts. There's an IPv4 part here in Phoenix, and an IPv6 only part over here in Dallas. So some of this is review from all of CCNA. So good practice for the cert. It's quite a bit of configuration. A reminder that a multi-layer switch is basically a router with a lot of ports, but by default, the ports are switch ports. So to get them like this connection right here, this is a routed interface. You have to disable the layer 2 switching by typing in no switch port. Again, hopefully this is review for you guys. Let's see. This guy right here has a DHCP server on it that you'll set up. And with the IPv6, you're going to manually put in a link local address, and that's what this is. It's it should say HE80 before this ::3, but I think you're supposed to assume that. And when you're doing link local addresses, it's the same address for every interface on the router, because the significance is only with the link. So you can kind of use that as a way to identify the router. And speaking of router IDs, that stuff is in the instructions. Let's go to packet tracer. There we go. So when you're talking about OSPF, they give you the ID, the process ID in there. So use those. Okay. Before you start configuring the IPv6 addresses, make sure there is a small table in here. And these are the addresses that you'll use for the interface addresses on that Fast Ethernet 00 interface for Dallas R1. And then you'll test. And if you're using these envelopes, remember they're for IPv4. So if you're not set up with IPv4 here, which you're not required to, but maybe you are a stickler and you're like, oh, I'm going to do dual stacked because that's the right way to do it, then you could potentially set up dual stack here, but it's just IPv6 only is what the exercise is. But this little envelope thing, if you click here, well, this definitely will work now because the IP addresses aren't configured. If you want to ping from here to this default gateway, Okay, well, yeah, no functional ports. So actually that was kind of useful. That's useful information. We know there's no functional ports because it's not configured yet. All right. And it sounds like it. Good luck. And if you have any questions, office hours or email me. All right. See you soon.